let's start it. All right, and I think we are live. Welcome to the YouTube Live. In this video, we are also going to be basically covering within TikTok as well. We have a TikTok Live running as well as a YouTube Live, so we're getting double exposure here. So, like always, we're going to be doing our Bitcoin update. We do a market update every single day, and we don't really like going on the weekly and daily too often, but today we will because we haven't for a few days. We'll even kind of talk about the monthly here and some of the trend lines I've drawn in, and then we'll go all the way down to the hourly. It looks pretty great. We got an entry a little bit lower at a nearby support, and then we just broke above a key level within the chart, and now we're holding as a nice new level of support. See more buy volume than sell volume, seeing pretty strong bullish candles. We see a very strong bullish engulfing candle followed by a pretty weak bearish candle. So it's looking pretty good, but we'll get into that a little bit later within the video. So we are currently sitting at a key level, just below a key level of resistance. I think that it will be around 11.5 to 12K when we really hit it in that zone of confluence, and you can really see that within the weekly chart. I think the monthly doesn't really give it too much justice, but the weekly really represents and illustrates what I see within the markets. So we get our snip here, and then we have two descending trend lines. So I'm just gonna make it white because red's not really a good color to talk with. So we got our major supply zone right here, we got our major support zone right here, and then we got our major supply zone or resistance right here. So what we're trying to do in an ideal world is go from zone to zone, because there is a key zone of confluence here as a support, and there's a key zone of confluence here as a resistance. And from here to here is a pretty decent amount to move, and it's good to kind of take profits, recalibrate, see how the price reacts to these key zones here. We can always get short exposure for hedging, or additional long exposure if it does look strong within different alts in the market. But in this current circumstance, we're just going to be playing from our current level of support to our current level of resistance. So that's basically what the plan is. Zooming in, we see that the weekly candle still obviously does not have that much volume because it still needs to go 4 more days. But overall, it looks pretty strong. We broke our key zone of confluence. We've retested, validated it as a nice new level of support, and then now we're getting a decent amount of buy volume come in and buy up the price. So it's looking pretty good. And then there's our next resistance zone. Just checking the people who came in here. All right, so, and then going on to the weekly now. So we really only check the CME futures just because we want to see the gaps within the market, and there are currently no gaps within the market. But one thing I do like to see about the CME futures is the amount of buy volume coming into the market. So if we get our little arrow and discuss, look how much, well, first thing, more buy volume there is compared to the sell volume overall, and B, the level of buy volume that came in from the rejection of the $9,600 support. That to me is another validation that this level is a strong area where buyers and demand is going to be located. We can see that within the surge of buy volume and the amount of buy pressure that was located at these zones. So that's basically all we need to see for the CME futures. Since 2020, it's been a great run, and we can clearly see that within the chart. So then we got our next chart. This is also the daily candle. We have the price respect our green demand zone, which is going to be this area right here. And the price does look pretty strong. We don't see a tremendous amount of volume, but overall there is more buy volume than sell volume occurring within the markets, which does show volume accumulation, which is pretty bullish. So good situation to be in my opinion. So now let's talk about the flow of the market on a bit of a smaller time frame, discussing the structure of this consolidation, because all we're doing is trying to understand the structure of the consolidation and then find an edge within the market that lets us find a higher than average probability situation for us to enter in. So we got two descending trend lines. We got this one right here, and then we got the more descending trend line, which is going to be right here. When we got the price to break the more descending trend line, which is going to be this guy right here, and then we retested for a nice valid level of a support, and then we got a very strong bullish engulfing candle with lots of volume. That's when I entered on the 1 hour. I initially put the stop loss below here. Now the stop loss is basically below this zone here, where the previous or the current support is. So if I do have the price end up coming back down, well, then I do have a stop loss here just above my break-even point, so I don't really have any risk on the table. But just talking about the structure of the market here, it looks very strong in my opinion. We see one major strong injection of buy volume there with a strong bullish engulfing candle. And then yet again, we are currently seeing the second strong bullish candle come in soon after we get kind of the weak bearish candle there, with the body not being very large compared to the body of the wick, and then our bullish candles are very strong, closing basically right at the top, if not very close to the top, with a little bit of a wick to the downside. So looking pretty strong for the buyers. The confidence looks there, and overall I'm pretty happy with this long position. I'm going to stick to it. And then on the 1 hour, we can really see the granular details of how well this area is respected. Let's get our snip again. And this is the 1 hour chart. So we see that strong push to the upside. And then we see the price hesitate to make a higher high from where it is right now. And then now we're just in a consolidation where we have sellers on one side and we have buyers on the other side, just going sideways. Now, it's good that we're already in a position to the long side, because then we don't have to try to enter on these lows here. Once it's retested and respected, the support, at least, minimum 2 times, 3 times would be 3 injections of buy pressure, which would be a little bit more of a valid situation to enter in the market. But overall, that's what we would have to done. But because we've already entered at this position here, I'm not really looking to gain a little bit more exposure to BTC. And then we got our first take profit here, and then we got more take profits to go higher up. But all right, overall, it looks pretty good. We do see a decreasing amount of just overall pressure within the market in terms of the volume. So we could see a couple large spikes here. Ideally, they're going to be to the upside, but obviously we'll see when the time comes. So that's the analysis for from the monthly, mainly weekly chart, all the way to the 1 hour chart. And we don't really have any questions within the YouTube. I'll check TikTok in a second. We also are going to be analyzing the longs and shorts within a market. We always talk about this within the BTC updates for the people who do follow frequently. Now, what we've seen is a very similar structure to here. If you actually look at it, we see that the price initially hit this top zone, exact same top zone that was hit, and then it pulls back to this zone here, pulls back to the exact same zone. And it kind of does look like the sellers are trying to make a higher high there, which is not ideal, which would then mean that potentially if we do break this zone of resistance for the sellers, we could see the confidence in the buyers start to shift like we saw last time, and then the sellers try to break it out of this range here, which if they might, then that would mean that we might be having to look to gain a little bit of exposure as a hedge, or potentially even look to see if the price action changes, and then we might be even looking short. But we don't really have confirmation just yet because of the price action still looking very strong. But just in terms of the confidence in the sellers, it looks like it's gaining slowly. We do see that the price is trying to make a higher high. I'm not going to be super worried just yet because the price action is so strong, but the bears are trying to make a newer higher high. They're making higher highs and higher lows like we see here, kind of like a strong push to the upside. So they're trying to gain more confidence, basically, is what this is showing me. And then on the buy side, it looks like we're in a nice little channel here where we got buyers just below, and then we got a little bit of fear above this point just above. And it's pretty perfect. You got to push up, pull back. It just depends on if we're going to break this zone right here, because last time we broke it, and when we broke it, we got a pretty quick loss of confidence from the buyers, kind of selling off, taking profits, which isn't a problem because at that point in time, there wasn't a whole lot of confidence from the sellers, right? So yes, there was a little bit of weakening in the buyers, in the confidence, but we don't see a lot of confidence in sellers either. So that doesn't necessarily push the price down as much, if that makes sense, because if there's not a lot of confidence in both sides, it's not a crazy battle, right? But if there is, for example, a significant shift in confidence from the buyers from bullish to then bearish, and then, or at least losing confidence, not really bearish, but if the buyers are losing confidence and the bears are gaining confidence, well, then there's going to be a quick shift in supply and demand, and that's where you can see these significant shifts in price. So it's something to keep in mind. I'm not really going to say that it's above this zone yet, because it could be a little tiny tick up and then a move down. We're not really going to be that quick to judge, but we will want to be we will want to make sure that we potentially have a hedge if we do see the price come to the downside, but just something to keep in mind. But for now, I'm still thinking that this is going to bounce, and I still think that this is hopefully going to maintain a structure that's going to not have this, because I'm still looking bullish. But if we start to see the loss of confidence in the bulls, and then potentially even a higher test of this little resistance or even a break, then obviously then the potential bias that I will have may change. So the last thing that we're going to cover is the longs and shorts as a percentage within different markets or different exchanges. I'm just going to get some water here, and then I'm going to continue. All right, so seeing questions. All right, so basically, let's just go over this. We got 6 people watching on YouTube. Wow, that's, I think, not a record, but more than the average for sure. And then we have 7 people online on TikTok. So let's go over BitMEX first. So what this chart is, or what this data set is showing us, is the amount of positions that were opened both long and short in a 24-hour time frame, and then it's giving it to us as a percentage. So in the markets, you can only take a trade 2 ways: either go long or go short, make money to the upside or make money to the downside. And this is going to give us a percentage of the longs that were opened versus shorts that were opened. BTC looking like it's breaking out. We might actually cover it within this video. Let's go over this and then we'll see, because the 1 hour chart still has around half an hour until close, but it's looking like it's breaking out. Litecoin just broke out, which is great to see because we're in it. Ethereum looking like it's breaking out. Yeah, we'll see how it goes in a little bit later in the video. So basically on BitMEX, actually we could probably take a picture here again, and it's going to be different because this is very, very dynamic and it shifts frequently. So we see BitMEX here. There is, out of the total people who bought and sold within a 24-hour time frame, 53% of the people bought long, meaning they want the price to go up, whereas there's only 47% of people that thought that the price was going to go down. On Binance, there's not a huge amount of discrepancy at all. 50.4% were long, 49.6% were short. And on Bybit, there is not a lot of discrepancy. There is 52% and 48%. So overall, it is more long bias, with BitMEX seeing the highest discrepancy, around 3% from the average of 50-50, or the median of 50-50. And then you see the 1 hour chart. Right here, same situation, except for instead of a 24-hour time frame, you're just looking at it from a 1 hour time frame. So pretty bullish. BitMEX shows a strong amount of buy pressure. We see almost 70% to 30% for the bulls. For Binance, definitely a little bit less. It's just under 60% to 40% for the bulls. And then on Bybit, it is around 65 to 35% for the bulls. So it's pretty bullish for the longs, which for me, in my position, is not a bad place to be. We are heavily exposed to the long side with BTC and many alts. So if we see the price go up in value, that's great. If we see the price go down, we already locked in profits for BTC. We'll cover that within the crypto market, and we have limited risk significantly for the other alts, setting pretty tight stop losses because they've been able to hold support so well. So Binance just reopened trading. Yeah, that's great to see. I have my positions kind of set in already. But just looking at the markets right now, not really taking any action. Just wanted to do a BTC update like we always do. So just going to quickly look at maybe a recent... well, I don't really see any recent comments within Performante, within TikTok for the few little bits. Thank you, Lewis, for that comment, and I'll basically cut it off there. We will be doing a crypto market update very soon, going over many different alts within the market, and just going to see the Donald Pump. Bless. Yep. Thank you for joining in, Mr. Donald Pump. Loving the name. Thanks for being a good community member. But yeah, that's the overall market. I'm still bullish. Here's that pump that I just mentioned here. We're not seeing a whole lot of volume, but we are seeing, the price break this little descending zone that we have here, potentially retesting and then shooting up. Or if you really want to be conservative, you could go this way, and then it's still kind of breaking that zone there. So what would really signify this as a potential breakout is if we break above this structure and make a higher high, then obviously we have a potential structure to the upside moving up. That would be a potential market phase, while this would be an accumulation phase. So we'll see what it does. We're already long. We already have exposure to the long side. We're kind of locked in terms of trades, and then once the trades that we're currently in move up in value, then we can move the stop losses up to a point where we're completely limiting risk off the table, where we don't have risk on the table, because if our stop loss is above our entry point, we're obviously in the profit guaranteed no matter what. So then that allows us to open up risk in different parts of the market against our total portfolio. So managing risk against the total portfolio is very important.
Hello.
Oh, hey. I hear someone. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off here. Hey, Mr. Strange, how's it going? I'll be on in 1 second. I'm just doing a YouTube live, and then I'll hop on the Discord.
Oh, right. No, it's fine. I'll go right now. All right, see ya.
Oh, I'll talk to you in 1 second. But yeah, that was a YouTube live. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be doing a crypto market live very shortly. So until next time, have a good one, everyone.